G'day viewers and welcome back to the channel. Today, just going for a walk, go get some breakfast. I figured cover a subject that's been in the news here in Vietnam recently, and that's Airbnb and whether or not it's legal and some of the pitfalls. Now, most of the videos I've seen have covered just whether or not it's legal or not. However, there is another aspect to it which could cause you issues should you choose to use Airbnb. Now, first of all, Airbnb is actually legal in Vietnam. However, that varies from area to area. Such as Ho Chi Minh City has recently, as of last month, made short-term rentals illegal. So while you can still probably book them online, technically the people that are renting them to you aren't supposed to. Now the issue comes because most of the short-term Airbnb rentals in Ho Chi Minh City are in the big apartment buildings. They have had significant problems because they're residential towers. They're not actually built for tourism. And therefore, yet the issues with a lot of people they will you're on holiday, so you act like you're on holiday. Some people do that worse than others and cause significant disturbance to the people who are just trying to live their lives. Now, your problem is you might be respectful, you might do everything right. However, when you walk into those buildings, you're judged by those that came before you. So, unfortunately, they start with a poor opinion to begin with. Is that fair? Probably not, but you can't blame people for feeling that way. And what a lot of things will happen, you'll arrive at your Airbnb and suddenly your host will say, oh, well, you can't use the pool, you can't use the gym, whatnot. You'll encounter hostile building management because they don't want you there. I mean, some of these buildings individually ban Airbnbs, but again, that doesn't stop people from renting them out. And unfortunately, you're left to deal with the fallout from it all. And the reason in Ho Chi Minh City, well, that's pretty much why they've just outright banned it, is because it was taking up too much police city time dealing with unruly guests, disturbing the peace of your average resident. So, as a result, the ones that do the wrong thing ruin it for everybody. Hanoi doesn't outright ban Airbnb. However, again, a lot of the residential towers ban it. So, again, use it at your own risk. However, that's not the main problem you have to deal with. Because these people are renting illegally, in other words, their apartment isn't designated for tourism activities, they're not going to register you with the local police as to staying in the apartment. Now, some people might not know, but in Vietnam, whether you're a foreigner or local, everywhere you stay, you get registered with the police for that night. So that's Vietnamese or foreigners. If you stay at a hotel, hello. They'll ask you to show your passport. They'll generally take a photo of it. Some of the more country areas are still more traditional, and they'll try to keep it, but the majority of times now, you either they'll take a photo of it, or you can do like I did when I used to visit. I'd print off a dozen copies, photocopies of my passport data page, and just hand that to them. And each night the police will come around and they'll register who's staying there on that particular night. It is a requirement of your visa when you enter the country to do so. So that can create even bigger problems for you. And a quick look at the laws regarding it. The penalties are anything from nothing, which is probably more often the case if you're not doing anything wrong, but it can lead to fines, and if you're really annoyed people, your visa being cancelled and being deported. So that is another issue, and they'll often not report you as being in their Airbnb because they don't want to pay tax on the money they're getting. So you can self-report where you stay. There is a way of doing so, but any reputable place will do it for you. And that's really the main downside of the Airbnb experience is that's what you're going to get. Now the Airbnbs in Ho Chi Minh City, they're residential areas, they're nowhere near any of the tourism areas, and that might suit you, that's fine. But as I said, your experience is going to be generally diminished by the fact that you're probably going to have hostile management, hostile residents, and a host that basically tells you you can't use the majority of the things that you book the place for, like the pools and the gym and other facilities, simply because they don't want to get caught renting out an Airbnb. I had a similar experience in Singapore a few years ago. Same thing. Airbnb isn't illegal in Singapore, and like most people, I'm a bit wiser these days. You look up, is the Airbnb legal in Singapore? First answer will always be yes, but there are conditions to that. So when you look deeper into it, Airbnb is only legal in Singapore for long-term stays. I believe it's longer than 6 months. And we'd booked a nice apartment in a big complex, resort-style pool, all the rest. We arrive and basically the hosts informed us we had to behave as if we weren't even there. So told us to avoid using the pool, avoid being seen during the day by the property's employees, etc. I don't know about you, but that's not the kind of holiday that I was looking for. But anyway, so with Airbnb in Vietnam, look, hotels are cheap. They're everywhere, ranging from 5-star. I mean, you can book a perfectly fine hotel for $30 or $40 a night, comfortable, right in the middle of the tourist area. And so realistically, there's no good reason to. I get if you're travelling with a big group, but even then, it's probably still going to be cheaper to stay at a hotel. But just know, they're the risks involved in staying at an Airbnb in Vietnam. I mean, I imagine if you're out in the the quieter areas, and there's a house for rent that you can probably have little problems because it's a sole occupancy. You're not dealing with all the residents. But yeah, just something to keep in mind if you're visiting and to be aware of, because there's nothing worse than getting somewhere and finding out that it's not what you paid for. Alright, that'll do for this video. I'm about to have some breakfast, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you like it, and if you do, subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you all soon.